Hey, it's Jared with Gear and Light. Today we're going to take a look at some GoPro accessories for the GoPro Hero 10. A lot of these accessories are backwards compatible. I'll try to remember to talk about which ones are and which ones are not. But GoPros really need their accessories in order to be useful in a lot of different applications. GoPros are great cameras for a lot of different instances, but they call for different adaptations so that they could be used in those different applications. So we're going to take a look at the accessories that I use most often. So this is my top 7 accessories that I use all the time for my GoPros, and we're going to jump right into it. So the first accessory that's almost a must is additional batteries for your GoPro. Additional batteries are going to give you the ability to utilize your GoPros for much longer. Not all the time can we just plug power into the side of our GoPro and have unlimited power, so batteries are super important when it comes to getting more use out of your GoPros. I have 4 extra batteries here that are for my GoPro Hero 10s because I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm using them plugged in, but there's a lot of times when I need extra batteries, and so I use the extra batteries often. And I have this dual charging port here that allows me to charge 2 batteries at a time. So I just simply snap 2 batteries in like so, and then USB-C connection right here allows me to charge 2 batteries at a time. I leave this on my desk often, so I just remember to pop out new batteries and keep them all charged. I always charge my GoPro batteries right before I plan to go out and shoot. I don't charge them and then put them in my case and then 2 or 3 weeks later go out and shoot, because chances are the batteries have lost a bit of their juice. I want to make sure that my batteries are topped off right before I go out and shoot so that I get the most out of the batteries that possibly has to offer. Now you may have noticed a couple of darker filters on my GoPros. Most of the time when I'm using my GoPros, I'm outside and I want the best image that I can get out of these GoPros. Now when you leave the default filter, which is no filter at all, it's essentially just a protection filter over the lens on the camera, you're essentially allowing as much light as possible to go into that camera sensor, which is fine. You think that's exactly what you want. But if you're going for a more cinematic look with the footage, then you're going to need to limit some of the light that goes into the camera. So what happens when you don't do this is that the camera has to compensate to get a proper exposure. And the camera doesn't have a whole lot of options in trying to achieve this. All it can really do is make sure that the ISO is as low as possible, and then it just increases the shutter speed until it achieves exposure. Now with a really high shutter speed, that's what makes GoPro footage look more like GoPro footage. It's real, like hyper real almost. It just is too much detail as far as the movement and everything goes. There's no natural motion blur or anything like that in the shot because the camera is trying to compensate for how much light is coming in. So when you limit the amount of light that actually can get through to the sensor, you're allowing that shutter speed to come back down to a more reasonable number. We would never, with a nice camera, shoot at 1/1000th of a shutter speed for most all situations. And so why would we want that with our GoPros? So by adding an ND filter or even a polarizer filter, depending on your situations, to limit the amount of light that's coming into the sensor, you're able to better control that shutter speed and have a better overall looking image that doesn't look so much like it came from a GoPro. Now, ND filter kits typically come with a couple of different filters. Some of them come also with a polarizer. So for example, this kit here, here's the default one. As you can see, it's clear and doesn't have any ND to it at all. But it also came with an ND8, a 16, and a 32. And the 16 is on this camera right over here. And then it came with a nice little case that I can store these in. Now this other set from Freewell also came with a polarizer. So here we have the standard one off of the GoPro over here. And then we have an ND16 and ND32 and a polarizer lens. And I believe I have the 8 on my GoPro 9, which would be this camera right here. Yes, the ND8 is on the GoPro 9. And so with these ND filters and the polarizer, you're definitely going to get much better looking images because you can control the settings on the camera. I've talked about this in another video, so if you're interested in learning more about settings and adjusting settings on a GoPro Hero 10, make sure to check out one of the other videos that I have here on the channel. I'll link to it down in the description below. Now, the batteries don't last a really long time on these cameras, and so when you have the ability to just run constant power to your GoPro, there's a frustration that I have with the GoPro, and that is that if you take the door off or leave the door open, the battery is just flat out gonna fall out of your camera. And that, I know that that's partially, it's kind of a design flaw, but it also is because it's the only way to get it to work with the media mod that really replaces the whole side of the camera. When you have a battery in your camera and the door is opened or even off, it's very easy for the camera to get jarred and just knock that battery right out like that. I mean, that's very easy to get that battery out. And so with a door like this, you can see I've got this door that has a hole here, and that hole allows for the pass-through of a USB-C cable. So as you can see here, I can still access the charging port while at the same time I have the door covering up the battery and making sure the battery's not going to fall out. Now, most of the time when I have power plugged into the side, I don't have my cameras in scenarios where things are going crazy and they might get bumped, but I do know a good friend of mine who's a YouTuber and a pilot and a flight instructor. The YouTube channel Angle of Attack utilizes these doors on the cameras because he runs constant power to his cameras while flying. And in small aircraft with a lot of vibration, that battery would just flat out fall out of the camera altogether. So by utilizing one of these doors, it helps secure the battery, and it also gives you the ability to charge your camera without having to take the door off altogether. Now keep in mind, this battery door definitely does not protect against water, so this is going to affect the overall waterproofing of the camera. And I recommend not using this door when you are using your camera in environments where moisture could get into the camera. Now, another accessory I use all the time are clamps with some form of an arm or a swivel on them. And so this small rig clamp here opens up really wide and can really clamp down on a variety of different sized posts. So if I move this out of the way, I can just open the jaws of this really wide. You can see I can get pretty much a good 1.5 inch post, maybe even almost a 2-inch bar here. I can get a little bit of grip on it, and all the way down to something relatively small. And then with this swivel arm here, I can adjust the camera by loosening it and positioning this arm wherever I want it to go. And so with an arm like this, you can clamp your cameras pretty much anywhere, and it's very secure, very well-made clamp, and it holds down tight. I've never had one of these loosen up on me. I definitely go and check when I do mount a clamp. I always go and check just to make sure that things are still tight and nothing is backed off, including the knuckles here on this arm, just to make sure that everything is nice and secure. But a clamp like this is a must-have in my kit. Another must-have mount is a suction cup mount. A lot of times I'm using my GoPro in a vehicle or in an airplane, and a suction cup mount means being able to mount a GoPro pretty much anywhere, whether it be on the outside paneling of a vehicle or on a windshield or on the inside of a window. Mounting is very easy with a suction cup mount like this. And this suction cup mount from PGY Tech is fantastic. They came out with these a few years back, and I've bought like 3 or 4 of them, and I use them all the time because the suction cup mount works extremely well, and the arm that they have attached here is really good as well. It tightens down and holds everything really tight, and that is a huge benefit. When you're mounting your GoPro to something like this, it has to stay tight. It has to remain snug. Everything has to be non-movable because the GoPro will just vibrate its way down and it will ruin your shot. And so you need something that is extremely flexible like this, but still can hold everything really tight. And so when I mount my GoPro to something like this, I know that it's going to be safe and secure in environments with heavy vibration. I can make my adjustments and set up my GoPro however I need it to be. I tend to try and limit the amount of distance from the point. So if I'm mounting this to a windshield or something like that, I definitely don't want this to be extended out all the way. I will try to mount it like so it's minimizing the amount of pull that the GoPro will have on the suction cup mount, which would lead to vibration. And so I definitely try my best, however I'm mounting it, to limit that. But this has been a great mount. Like I said, I have several of these, and they have yet to fail me. Now, a recent addition for me to my kit is the GoPro Media Mod. Now, the Media Mods are these different mods. When they first came out, I thought, okay, here goes GoPro trying to make more money, come out with these different accessories, and none of these are really useful because I could do pretty much everything that I want to do without them. But now with the Media Mod having an HDMI output and an audio jack and charging ports all on the back of the camera, that is useful. So as you can see here, we've got a audio jack input, we have a USB-C for charging, and we have an HDMI port on the back. So I can actually go HDMI out on this GoPro. Now, I've been doing a lot of live streaming for different events and stuff like that, and having cameras in obscure locations that are a little bit hard to have, like a big camera on a tripod, is important, especially as I'm switching between different views. And having a GoPro with a media mod like this that allows me to easily charge and keep the GoPro charged up while also having a cable that can run HDMI out to my switcher is hugely important for me. Now, I'm probably not going to use this media mod in a lot of different environments, but when I'm in an aircraft myself flying and I'm wanting to film, having audio input so that you can have headset audio is important, and I have an adapter for that, and it's much easier to plug that adapter into the back of the media mod than to use the USB-C adapter that just kind of hangs off the back of the device. Having this attached right here is really nice because it's more secure, and I don't have to worry about it pulling on the port that is built into the GoPro itself. So the media mod has some benefits there. Of course, it also has a built-in microphone, and so this is going to improve the audio capture of a GoPro. It's not necessarily why I'm using it, but I think that it is a great addition. Of course, there are also cold shoe mounts here as well, and if I was going to be capturing audio, I would most likely use a small microphone like the Rode Video Micro, I think is what it's called, and attach that to the GoPro so I can get the best quality audio that I can right directly into the GoPro itself. Now, you saw me use it a minute ago, but a tripod mount with a 1/4-20 on the base of a GoPro is a must. You definitely need this, whether you are using one of these clamps like I talked about earlier, or you're using a mini tripod like this little Manfrotto Pixie tripod. You need a 1/4-20 mount on the bottom of the GoPro, and so 1/4-20 mounts just makes it easy to screw it right on, and then of course you've got a tripod mount right on the base of your GoPro, and I use this a lot. And some of the accessories that we looked at have a 1/4-20 mount, whether it's the suction cup mount, the swivel, or a mini tripod. The 1/4-20 tripod mount is, I use this accessory more than I use the standard GoPro attachment. And I have a lot of GoPro attachments here. I bought a bag of them off of Amazon. These are aftermarket, but they still work really well. And it comes with a ton of these different attachment mount plates and the 3M adhesive as well. So much cheaper to buy it this way. This, I guess, is kind of a bonus one because it wasn't even on my list. A huge bag of these with the adhesive tapes for a very small price, and they are the exact same. They're just as good. I have not found much difference at all. Maybe, you know, the GoPro ones look a little bit better, but these are definitely durable enough, and it means that with a bag of them, you can put your GoPro mounts on a lot of different things and be ready to go. But in talking about the 1/4-20, most of the time for what I use, I'm using clamp style mounts that use a 1/4-20 to attach, and so I need a 1/4-20 attachment for my GoPro. I'll link to that, of course, with everything else down in the description below. Now, I've got two bonus accessories for you here. I have this little micro SD organizer here that allows me to easily keep my micro SD cards available. There are lots of different cases and case options out there. I found found this to be really good because it's basically the size of a credit card, and the micro SD cards just snap right into place and they hold in there tightly. You just press a tab down and then you can pop these little guys out, but they hold in there really well. And this has been a great accessory for me because it's small, it goes right into my GoPro case, and I don't have to worry about these micro SD cards bouncing around, getting scratched or broken, because they're safely secured right within this little credit card sized case here. And lastly is my GoPro case, which I'll try to do my best here to show you what it looks like. This is a Pelican 1400 series case, and in this case I have all of my accessories. It's a little bit of a mess right now because I've been pulling things out to show all of you in this video, but I keep all of my accessories in here as well as my GoPros so that they're accessible and really well protected as I'm traveling and taking my GoPros to different places to utilize them. So I've got my GoPros over on this side, I've got mounts, and then because these ND filters come in their own little case, I don't mind them bouncing up against things in here. I've got more ND filters here. Here's a Polar Pro set, and I've got even non-GoPro accessories here. I've got my different lights, and so I've got little LED lights and stuff like that, which are also accessories that are great. I'll link to some of these things, even though I've just talked about, 8 or 9 things in this video. I'll link to some of the other accessories down below as well. And if you're interested in accessories that I use and actually seeing how I use them out when I'm shooting, definitely let me know if that's interesting to you down in the comment section below. I do have video content and a course coming soon on shooting video with a GoPro. People ask these questions to me often in the comments, and I want to put together a course. It's been a long time coming. I am working on it right now, and it will be a course that's available soon. So make sure to stay tuned by hitting a thumbs up on this video, subscribing to the channel, turning on notifications so you get notified when I put out new videos. And if you're interested, you can sign up for my newsletter down in the description below, and you'll definitely be notified first when the video and the course does come out. So thanks so much for being here today and checking out this video on GoPro Hero 10 accessories. I hope you found it useful, and I hope to see you back in another video soon. Take care.